So I chose to research alternative forms of medicine for pain management, specifically in regards to alternatives for opioids and pain management. When I was starting to research, I got too many results, and I decided that I needed a way to narrow it down. The way to narrow it down that I decided on was to just ask random people if they could name a good form of alternative medicine for pain management. And I decided to study the 3 most frequent responses. Those were nutrition therapy, fitness, and acupuncture. And I decided that I wanted to pair up different forms of chronic pain with each of those and see which methods worked best for each type of chronic pain. And I found 3 articles, each about one of the alternative forms of medicine, that pairs them up. So the reason I wanted to study alternative medicine is I feel that it might help restore balance to our current drug culture. I think in the past we had a very healthy relationship with medications. We only took them when we absolutely needed them, and that was because it was so difficult to make medications. We only reserved those for in cases where we needed our lives vastly improved or saved. So now we've begun to abuse medications. We take them just for like a minor headache. That was actually my favorite example from this course. I've done it. I've had a headache, and instead of asking myself, have I gotten enough sleep? Have I eaten? Have I been staring at a computer screen or a TV screen for too long? I just reach for an over-the-counter and make my headache go away. I think that's probably the best example that most people can relate to of just reaching for medications when they might not be necessary. But I think that if we turned to alternative medicines before we started taking medications, we might be able to improve our relationship and get it to a healthier point than it was in the past. So once again, I looked at articles. We'll talk about nutrition first. I chose the article Nutrition in Complementary and Alternative Medicine, or CAM, as it's often called in the academic community, by Suzanne Dixon. She went through some myths and stereotypes about cancer, and one of them, she said that she's asked a lot if special diets for people who have cancer and are undergoing chemotherapy are beneficial, if certain diets are better than others. And she just went through some of the things that diets that actually work have in common. Overall, balancing vitamins and minerals is very important for immune function. I'm actually taking a nutritional immunology course, and we've talked about that extensively, that to best balance the immune response, having the right balance of vitamins and minerals is very important. It can reduce the negative pro-inflammatories, increase the positive anti-inflammatories. So one of the things is to increase vegetables. It'll greatly increase your fiber content, which leads to better immune function. And immune function is important because if you have too much pro-inflammatory, that can lead to a lot of pain, specifically in joints. If you have too much inflammation, it leads to pain. So nutritional therapy is not obviously just good for cancer patients. Anyone can benefit from a better diet. So I think that article really went through some great dietary tips, not just for cancer patients, but for anyone. The second form that I got the most often was acupuncture. I think a lot of people think of it as an alternative medicine. Maybe nutrition and fitness not as much, but acupuncture is definitely considered alternative. The article I chose to focus on was by Duke University. The name of the article is Acupuncture for Chronic Pain, an Update and Critical Review. The focus of the article, or the message that I kept getting, was if you're going to do acupuncture, it has to be by someone who has extensively studied acupuncture. A lot of people think that they could do like an internet search and understand acupuncture enough to have it work for them, and that's just not the case. It can actually do more harm than good. So the most effective treatments, pains that were treated include lower back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, knee pain, and headaches. Those are the ones that seem to be the most corrected by acupuncture. I can speak for experience on the headache front. I suffer from chronic migraines, and I researched and I learned that a dath piercing in the ear can greatly reduce the number of chronic migraines. I actually got it. It's right here. My ear just goes through this lobe. And I went from having 6 migraines a month on a good month to maybe 1. It doesn't work for everybody, but it's definitely worth trying if you're suffering from chronic migraines. And then the last was fitness. I decided to narrow it down to just yoga because I feel that that combines all the great things about fitness. You're stretching joints, muscles, relaxing. And the article that I chose was Yoga for Young Adults with Rheumatoid Arthritis. And this was a mixed method study. So the overall theme of the article obviously is that it reduces inflammation in joints. That's what rheumatoid arthritis is. And the stretching and anti-inflammatory results from yoga did not just reduce pain, it actually reduced depression, increased energy, had a lot of other positive benefits other than just reducing pain. I think it goes to show once you're not in as much pain, you're able to do more positive things than if you were in excruciating pain. Rheumatoid arthritis isn't something that has a very clear treatment, so I think that alternative medicines are very important. And I'm sure it's something that could benefit from nutrition therapy and vice versa. So when I was doing my research, I kept thinking of the book we read for my portion of the class, Dreamland, and it described pain clinics that were scattered through Ohio and how patients would go to these pain clinics, request medication, and without a lot of further conversation be prescribed an opiate that they could potentially become addicted to. And I wondered what would have happened if they had instead been prescribed acupuncture or nutritional therapy or fitness therapy. And I wondered how many fewer people would have become addicted to opiates in those areas, and I'm sure it would have been greatly decreased. So I'm hoping that at some point, to correct our drug culture, doctors begin to feel comfortable prescribing alternative medicines instead of medications to start with. And I'm not saying that people who are doing well on a medication drop it, but perhaps combine it with alternative medicine to reduce their dependency, and in cases where they're not as dependent, potentially eliminate the medication altogether. So, it's my spiel. Thanks for listening.